Okay, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It is Monday.
It is.
We are up there. Today, Jesus tells about forgiveness and faith. Luke chapter 17, starting at verse 1. One day Jesus said to his disciples, "There will always be temptations to sin, but what sorrow awaits a person who does the tempting? It would be better to be thrown into the sea with a millstone hung around your neck than to cause one of these little ones to fall into sin. So watch yourselves. If another believer sins, rebuke that person. Then if there is repentance, forgive. Even if that person wrongs you 7 times a day, and each time turns again and asks for forgiveness, you must forgive." The apostle said to the Lord, "Show us how to increase our faith." The Lord answered, "If you had faith even as small as a mustard seed, you would say to this mulberry tree, may you be uprooted and thrown into the sea, and it would obey you." When a servant comes in from plowing or taking care of sheep, does the master say, "Come in and eat with me"? No, he says, "Prepare my meal, put on your apron, and serve me while I eat. Then you can eat later." And does the master thank the servant for doing what he's told to do? Of course not. In the same way, when you obey me, you should say, "We are unworthy servants who have simply done our duty." And now the commentary. Jesus warned about God's wrath for those who offend, abuse, or lead astray little ones. How appropriate such a warning is when corruption enters our homes every day and in many television programs or on the internet. While Christians must guard against physical abuse, they also must be aware of and work against the mental and spiritual corruption that unfiltered television and unsupervised internet surfing can bring. Jesus' warnings envisions an additional group, however, the little ones. The little ones can be new disciples. Indifference to the training and treatment of new Christians can leave them theologically vulnerable. Make the follow-through care of recent converts and new members a high priority in your church. To rebuke does not mean to point out every sin we see. It means to bring a sin to a person's attention with the purpose of restoring that person's relationship with God and with fellow humans. When you feel you must rebuke another Christian for a sin, check your attitudes before you speak. Do you love that person? Are you willing to forgive? Unless rebuke is tied to forgiveness, it will not help the sinning person. The disciples' request was genuine. They wanted the faith necessary for such radical forgiveness. But the amount of faith is not as important as its genuineness. What is faith? It is complete trust in and loyalty to God that results in a willingness to do His will. Faith is not something we use to put on a show for others. It is complete and humble obedience to God's will, a readiness to do whatever He calls us to do. The amount of faith isn't as important as the right kind of faith in our all-powerful God. A mustard seed is small, but it is alive and growing. Almost invisible at first, the seed will begin to spread, first under the ground and then above the ground. Like a tiny seed, a small amount of genuine faith in God will take root and grow. Although each change will be gradual and imperceptible, soon this faith will have produced major results that will uproot and destroy competing loyalties. We don't need more faith. We need a tiny seed of faith that is enough if it is alive and growing. If we have obeyed God, we have only done our duty, and we should regard it as a privilege. Do you sometimes feel you deserve extra credit for serving God? Remember, obedience is not something extra we do. It is our duty. Jesus is not suggesting that our service is meaningless or useless, nor is He advocating doing away with rewards. He is attacking unwarranted self-esteem and spiritual pride.
We need to give God the glory, not for ourselves.
Yeah.
And as far as the mustard seed goes, a little bit of information I learned in the ladies group is mustard is considered a fast-growing invasive weed in Israel. It gets scattered wherever it's put. It takes roots easily, and it would, the example she used in the video, the author, which is Christy, I can't remember right now. Anyway, she said that it would practically grow up your leg when you're walking down the street. It grows and takes over so fast. And like the people of Israel, where they're scattered through slavery or moving to flee hardships or whatever, and us too, wherever we land in this world, we are to spread the word of Christ and let Christ's word spread out from wherever we are.
And it's been examples of that all throughout history since Christ.
Right.
That's why especially Paul. That's why Paul was persecuted and went to Rome. Rome was the capital of the world at that time. And he went there and taught, and from there it spread all over. I mean, that's...
And never think what you're doing is too small. If God's telling you to do something, do it. Because even if it seems insignificantly small, the mustard seed's small too, but it's invasive and it just takes over. And that's what God can do if we just do what we're told to do and allow Him to work through us.
Spreading, as also spreading the seed, falling, like we heard yesterday's sermon, of falling on good ground.
Right.
I saw a video yesterday of a guy that preaches at colleges, especially to a trans audience, part of the LGBT crowd, and he would say that he may be talking directly one-on-one with somebody, and they would get to the point of, the other person would get to the point of arguing, and he always had to remember that he may not be preaching to that person.
Right, it might be somebody listening.
Yeah, it's all these people that are standing in the background watching.
Right.
And so he's throwing seeds everywhere.
Right.
And he may not be successful with the person he's talking to, but he really feels he's making a difference with everybody that's silent, looking in.
That's a true fact.
So no matter what you do, always, man, somebody's watching somewhere, always.
Always.
So.
Always. And we'll never know when we're being watched.
No.
They'll just be observing, and we will never know it.
And it's that little mustard seed that starts right there and gets them to move on and keep growing. And so that's all. Okay. Hope everybody has a glorious day, and we'll talk to you later.